What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 26. We have Michelle Waterson going against Marina Rodriguez, and I am about a day behind. It's been a crazy week for me. Got back from Vegas around Monday, around like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Pulled an all-nighter, basically slept Monday away, so that sucked. And then I'm also in the process of moving into a new house. So lots going on for me this week. Was able to, research a card. I was up till like 9 o'clock in the morning yesterday. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning right now, recording this video. And on top of all that, this card is, some tough matchups. I really had to dig deep on some of these fights as well. But all out of the way here, getting it out on a Thursday, which is not bad, but do expect the videos to start coming out earlier, especially with the new move. Going to be able to get my content out earlier, going to be able to go live even more, going to be able to get out extra content. So once I get that move out of the way into the new house, I should be able to do all that. But yeah, the card as a whole, it's pretty decent. The main events, it's a little bit iffy. I think it's fine. I do think they could put like a Magny, Neal up there in the main event. I think maybe even like a Gillespie Ferreira, maybe a Lima Green. I'm just joking. That fight probably shouldn't even be on the main card. But yeah, the main event's fine, and the card as a whole, it's fine. I mean, not the best card, but I think from a betting perspective, there are some really good spots. So we'll talk about all of that. Speaking of that, like, now's a great time to sign up on the Patreon. The most popular option is that $10 betting tier on Patreon there. With that, you get the stat model, including the advanced stat model, something I added last month that a lot of people like. I also have the matchup templates as well, where you put the stats side by side, all courtesy of Uncle Weezy. Bringing the fire, bringing a lot of good information there. Early access to my bets, like I mentioned, the betting breakdown videos throughout the week. Access to Discord, probably the most active Discord I've ever been in. We talk fights all week, every week. We talk about PFL, we talk about LFA. Just very active in there. And then, of course, my betting article as well. So, yeah, like $10 a month, like $2.50 per card. It really does help me out. And if you do want some extra content, feel free to check that out. If not, all good. Like I always say, my bets will always be free. I'm going to be posting them on Twitter each fight day. DFS_numbers on Twitter, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. My bets should be out there by then. But yeah, make sure you hit the like button. As always, one small like goes a long way. Also subscribe if you have not yet, so you do not miss out on my other content. Have DraftKings video coming out, betting breakdown video coming out, going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, 1 hour prior to the fights. So yeah, lots going on this week. And like I said, once I get moved into the new house, should be able to go live more throughout the week. That's the goal. That's the plan. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get into the breakdown here. Starting with the first fight of the night, and we have Carlston Harris going against Christian Aguilera. We have Harris, who is 33 years old, 6 foot, 72.5-inch reach, 15-4, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Christian Aguilera, he is 29 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach, 14-7. And 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. And we have Carlston Harris opened up -130, and he's currently -155. So some money coming in on Harris. Aguilera opened up +100, currently +135. So he has an interesting fight. Harris making his debut at 33 years old. The problem I have with Harris, and there's not many problems. I mean, I really like this guy. I think this guy is very talented, but the problem I had personally was not being able to see much of his recent tape. I think the last fight I was able to watch was like in 2018. So, but from what I've seen, like, the dude looks very legit. His wrestling's phenomenal. His top control is very good. If he's able to get on top, I don't see Aguilera getting up. It's just what has happened in those last 3 years. That's the problem I have. But you go and look at his record, and he's winning fights within those 3 years. He's getting finishes. He beat a 17-1 guy, so I can only assume that he is making improvements. And like I said, from what I've seen, like in the past, like 2017, 2016, 2018, like, the guy looks pretty good. I like his style. He really fights to his strengths, goes out there. You see him right away go to his takedowns. And I also love the cardio of this guy. Like, this guy can go a full 3 rounds, no problem. Gas tank is on point. The wrestling's on point. The striking's even not bad. Has some power. So I like Harris. I like Harris quite a bit in this matchup going against Christian Aguilera, who, he's not bad. He has a lot of experience. He came into his UFC debut against Anthony Ivy, I believe, as an underdog. He was +190 in that fight, went out there and starched Ivy in like the first, 20, 30 seconds, minute. But yeah, Ivy's not that great, and I think I went with Aguilera in that fight. I'm not quite sure, but I do remember that being like, what the heck, man? Like, Ivy didn't even try to attempt a takedown. I can assure you that Harris will be trying for takedowns here. And then in his next fight against Sean Brady, he was a huge underdog around like plus 375, and Sean Brady did handle him accordingly. So I think on the feet, it definitely could be a little bit iffy. Aguilera is very dangerous on the feet. We have seen Harris knocked out before. But, if anybody's chinny in this fight, I mean, Aguilera has been dropped several times. Like, I've seen him dropped a lot. He's been knocked out 3 times or 4 times. So the dude's chin's not there. Yes, Harris has been knocked out before in the first round, but if we're talking about chins, I don't think Aguilera's chin's all that there. But at the same time, he is dangerous, 71% knockout rate. So I think that will be his path to victory. It's like an early first-round knockout. But I just don't think Harris is going to give him many opportunities to get that with his wrestling, with his grappling. I think Harris takes him down, grinds him out, and maybe even finds a finish. But I'll say Harris decision. I'll say he grinds him out, takes him down, and wins a pretty clear decision. First round might be iffy, like I said, but once he gets past that first round, I do think he starts to take over and wins a fight. So give me Harris by decision. And yeah, as far as the odds go, not bad. Minus 150, it's not bad. But there are some question marks. That's the only concern. But from what I've seen, the guy looks pretty good. So give me Carlston Harris to win by decision. All right, next we have Tafon Chukwu going against Jung Young Park. We have Chukwu, who is 26 years old, 6 foot, 77-inch reach, 5-0. Obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Jung Young Park, who's 30 years old, 5'10", 73-inch reach, 12-4, and he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So yeah, Jung Young Park, training at Korean Top Team, pretty decent camp there. Take a look at the odds here, and we have Tafon Chukwu opened up minus 170, currently minus 140. And Jung Young Park opened up plus 140, currently plus 120. So some money's coming in on the Park side. I can kind of see why. Tough fight to call here, and it's going to be kind of the theme throughout this card. There are some really tough fights to predict. But as far as Chukwu goes, I really like this guy. I like his style. He is jacked city, but we see a lot of these jacked city guys, and they don't have great cardio. They're usually like round 1 or bust. But Chukwu here, he's high output. He has a great gas tank. He showed it in his last fight against Pickett. But the problem I had with that fight was Pickett really wasn't, doing anything. He wasn't doing anything at all. I think he threw like 81 strikes in that fight. I mean, Park's going to throw a ton more. I think he's going to make Chukwu work a lot more. And plus, mixing in the takedowns, we saw Pickett being able to take down Chukwu as well. And I actually think Park's striking's pretty good. He has a really good jab. He's really accurate as well. Tons of volume. And this is going to be a really good fight, a really close fight. I really think this can go either way. But what I like about Park is the insane durability. 16 fights. The guy's never been knocked out. The guy has a chin of steel. They call him the Iron Turtle for a reason. Chukwu's still very unexperienced. 5 fights. I'm going to take Park here. I'm going to take Park to mix in the takedowns. I think the striking exchanges can be close, actually. I mean, when Pickett threw, he was landing. He was landing strikes. So I really have some concerns about the striking defense of Chukwu. Because remember that, I think it was like that second round where Pickett landed like a 4 or 5 punch combo. I think he hurt Chukwu as well. So, I don't know. It's a tough fight. I'm going to take Park to just mix in the takedowns, kind of wear out Chukwu. Like I said, his cardio is very good, but if Park does make him work, does try to grapple, I do think Chukwu does tire out a little bit. So I'm going to take Park to win a very close decision. But, man, like I said, this fight can go either way. But give me the underdog in Jung Young Park. No bet for me on this one. All right, interesting fight here. We have Ryan Benoit going against Zaruk Adashev. We have Ryan Benoit, who's 31 years old, 5'5", 68.5-inch reach, 10-7, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Zaruk Adashev, 28 years old, 5'5", 65-inch reach, 3-3, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, we have Benoit, who opened up minus 175, currently minus 150. Zaruk Adashev opened up plus 145, currently plus 130. So yeah, Benoit doesn't have the prettiest looking record to say the least, but we got to kind of take a look at who he's fighting. Tim Elliott in a fight that was, somewhat close. I personally scored it for Elliott. I did have a bet on Elliott, so maybe that, a little bias there, but still, close fight with Tim Elliott. And then went to a split decision with Haile Alatang. Not a bad loss. Brandon Moreno, split decision. Obviously not a bad loss. Ben Nguyen, sub, not a bad loss. So he's fighting some decent competition. He's fighting the much better competition than Zaruk Adashev, who, I don't know, I'm just not impressed with the guy. Yes, he's fought Sumadarji in a fight where he was outlanded 50-28. And yes, he got knocked out by Tyson Nam in the first round. Really no shame in either of those losses. It's just, I don't know, the guy's still very unexperienced. I do have some concerns about his ground game. We haven't seen much from it. And if Benoit showed more wrestling in his fights, I would probably be betting him at -150. The problem is, I think he has like 2 or 3 takedowns in the UFC. But he has to know, he needs to mix in takedowns in this fight. I think if he does that, he will have a significant advantage. Benoit, I do believe, is a brown belt in BJJ as well. And what I like about Benoit is the dude, I don't believe, has ever been knocked out. No, he has not. 90% finish rate. 90% finish rate for flyweight. That's crazy. 80% by knockout, 10% by submission. This guy hits very, very hard. We've seen Zaruk finished before. Zaruk has been knocked out before. He's been submitted before. So yeah, I like Benoit in this fight. It's just, if he does not go to that wrestling game, I do think the fight is going to be a little bit closer than it could be, or than it should be. But even on the feet, I think Benoit has the power advantage. I think he's going to throw the harder shots, but I really do hope he goes to that wrestling game, as I do think he has a pretty significant advantage. So as far as, Benoit's 5'5", he's going to have both guys are 5'5", he's going to have about a 3.5-inch reach advantage, which, that's pretty good there. But yeah, I'm going to take Benoit here. I'm going to take him to win. I want to say submission. I think it's going to be a finish, honestly. I think he's going to finish Adashev here. I'll say second round submission for Ryan Benoit. I think if he does use that ground game, he's going to have a significant advantage. Brown belt, like I mentioned, on the feet. I think it's close. I think the power advantage goes to Benoit. But yeah, Adashev, if he loses this fight, he's going to be, I'd be surprised if he wasn't cut. That would make him 3-4 overall. But I'm going to take Ryan Benoit to win. And I'm going to take him to win by sub. All right, Mike Trizano going against Ludovic Klein. We have Trizano, who is 29 years old, 5'11", 71-inch reach, 8-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We have Klein, who is 26 years old, 5'7", 72-inch reach, 17-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. I think he's on a 7 or 8 fight win streak in Klein, and he's been killing it as of late. And taking a look at the odds here, we have Klein, who is the biggest favorite on the card, opened up -265, currently -250. Trizano opened up +205, currently +210. So, yeah, the line is probably off here. I think this fight could be semi-competitive, but man, I'm really impressed with Klein here. The guy's an absolute stud. He hits very, very hard, has a nasty head kick. And he made me some good money in his last fight. I had him, I think I bet him as a dog, a slight dog, against Shane Young. He got bet all the way to a favorite in that fight and got him out of there in that first round. And this guy is very, very dangerous. He hits very, very hard. 94% finish rate for Klein, 47% by knockout, 47% by submission. So the guy is very dangerous. Trizano has been submitted and is only lost by Grant Dawson. I don't know. I feel like if Klein does not finish him, this could be a semi-competitive fight. I don't think if he does not finish him, he's not going to look like -260. But the problem I have with Trizano is I think he's a really well-rounded fighter. He hasn't fought in 1 year in 11 months. 1 year in 11 months. Not sure why. Maybe it was an injury, but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't know. But we haven't seen him fight in nearly 2 years. And with that said, we haven't seen Klein fight in 7 months, which is not terrible, but I'm going to take Klein. I'm going to take Klein to get a knockout in this fight. I just think he's very, very dangerous. If Trizano has any cage rust at all, I do think he's going to get knocked out here. But with that said, Trizano is very tough, but I do think Klein is a very, very dangerous fighter. I'm going to take Klein to win by first round knockout. I'm not really going to touch the money line. Might look at a prop if the KO prop's decent, but honestly, I really want nothing to do with this fight. I think Klein's an absolute stud. It's just there's some unknowns in this fight, and I do think it could be semi-competitive if he does not get that finish. But I'm going to say he does get that finish. I'm going to say he gets it in the first or second round, and he knocks out Mike Trizano. All right, next we have a very fun fight. Phil Hawes going against Kyle Dawkis. We have Dawkis, who is 28 years old, 6'3", 76-inch reach, 10-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Phil Hawes, 32 years old, 6 foot, 77.5-inch reach, 10-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And we have Kyle Dawkis opened up -140, currently -130. Hawes opened up +110, and currently still +110. And this is another one of those tough fights to call. I think this fight can honestly go either way. Hawes is somebody who is typically a first round or bust, but we saw him go out there in his last fight against Nasruddin Imavov and win a decision, which is something I would have never, ever expected. And, I'm glad I didn't do it, but I was really tempted on, laying, I think it was like -250 or -260 on the fight doesn't go to decision. Thank goodness I did not do that, but I really did expect that fight to finish one way or another, and obviously it did have plenty of opportunities to do so. Imavov did hurt Hawes like 3 or 4 times in that third round. But yeah, in that fight, Hawes went in there with a very interesting game plan. He held Imavov against the cage for a ton. He had like 11 minutes and 6 seconds of control time in that fight, which is it's just insane. Like, is he going to do that to Kyle Dawkis? I really don't think so. But in this fight, Hawes needs to do the opposite of that. He needs to stay at range, and he needs to try to land that knockout punch. It's hard to pick a guy that is, first round or bust like I do think Hawes is. And I do think he is working on that a little bit. But in this fight, he's probably going to need to get that first round knockout. If not, I do think Dawkis does take over. I'm going to take the dog here in Hawes. I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great about picking somebody who is knockout or bust in that first round. It's just, the guy is so dangerous in that first round. Hawes has 10 wins. I think like 9 of them or 8 of them are in the first round. 1's a second round, and 1 is a decision in his last fight. But instead of like betting a side here, I think the fight doesn't go to decision is probably a good bet. Whether it is Hawes early, I think Hawes' path to victory is that first round KO. I think Dawkis has, second round finish ability, third round finish ability. We saw Imavov almost finish Hawes like 5 different times in that third round. But I will take Hawes to get that first round knockout. Dawkis is very tough. He looks very durable. Brendan Allen did hurt him in that first round. And Dawkis within I think it's like 3 fight sample, 42% striking defense, which is obviously not great at all. You do not want to be hittable against a guy like Hawes. I do think Hawes clips him early, gets him out of there. But if not, Dawkis is very live. So if this is a great live betting situation. If Hawes does not get that first round knockout, you are going to want to bet Dawkis, in that second round, because he's going to be a pretty sizable dog. You have to imagine that Dawkis probably does drop that first round, because Hawes is really good, but he's only really good in that first round. So I'm going to take Hawes to get that first round knockout. Might be a live betting situation, but the prop I really do like is that fight doesn't go to decision. I think it's either Hawes early or Dawkis late there, but I'm going to take Hawes by first round knockout. All right. Getting into the next fight here, we have Ben Rothwell going against Philippe Linds. And we have Rothwell, who is 39 years old, 6'4", 80-inch reach, 38-13, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Philippe Linds is 35 years old, 6'2", 78-inch reach, 14-5, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds, we have Rothwell opened up -115, currently -115. Linds opened up -115, currently -105. So nobody is really touching this fight from a betting perspective, and I don't blame anybody for staying away. That's probably the best option here. And I guess it's a tough fight to call, just based off the fact that I think Rothwell's probably the better fighter, but Rothwell is, not the same Rothwell he was, 4, 5, 6 years ago. He's not looking that great. But with that said, neither is Philippe Linds. Linds looks like a completely different fighter than we saw in the PFL, where he did win that $1 million. And I think it might be, because you saw it and all that. He has looked terrible against Andrei Arlovsky. I did pick him in that fight. I didn't bet him, but he only landed 41 significant strikes, very low output. Arlovsky outlanded him 50-41 in that fight. And then against Boser, only landed 6 strikes. Boser landed 15. Boser knocked him out. Boser, who, is not a knockout guy at all, knocked him out in that first round. And, that's kind of the story of Linds' career. When he's losing, he is getting knocked out. The guy's been knocked out 3 times. Never been submitted. He is a black belt at BJJ, I believe. I'll take Rothwell here, I guess. I mean, I do think he'll have a lot of success early. I do think the early knockout is on the table. I just have some concerns of what happens if Rothwell does not get a knockout. But even then, Linds does not throw much output. So unless Linds is going to make some changes, I don't really see him winning this fight. And actually tempted on betting Rothwell last time this fight was booked. But I think the smart move is going to be pass. Maybe look at Rothwell. I don't know, by knockout, I think is plus 600. I think the knockout's on the table. Does he submit Linds? Maybe. But I think the best option is staying away. I'm going to take Rothwell to win by first round knockout. I'm going to say he knocks out Philippe Linds. I just don't think Linds is the same fighter that he was, in the PFL on the regional scene. He looks like a completely different guy in there. But with that said, Rothwell is way towards the end of his career. So I'll take Rothwell. I would not lay any money on this fight. All right, so getting into the main card, we have Amanda Ribas going against Angela Hill. We have Ribas is 27 years old, 5'3", 66-inch reach, 10-2 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Angela Hill, 36 years old, 5'3", 64.5-inch reach, 13-9 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds, we have Amanda Ribas minus 175, opened up minus 245. Goodness. And then Angela Hill opened up plus 185, currently plus 155. So yeah, money coming in on the Hill side. And she is a very popular underdog this week. And, I can see why. Ribas, disappointed a lot of people. She busted a lot of parlays in her last fight against Marina Rodriguez, where she closed minus 300. That's insane. But yeah, she closed minus 300. She went out there in the first round. She looked phenomenal, got the takedown. The second round, she got clipped. And I don't know, Ribas, could she be chinny? She has been knocked out a good 2 or 3 times in her career. She's been knocked out 2 times in her career. Not a good look there, but yeah, it's another tough fight to call here. I've kind of been flipping back and forth. I think on the feed it is semi-competitive. I really like the volume of Angela Hill. But Ribas' striking is not bad, but I think what it's going to come down to is the ground game. Ribas, her wrestling isn't the best, but, she does find ways to get it to the mat. She does average 2.31 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 58% takedown accuracy. And Hill is somebody that, throughout her career has struggled with the takedowns, has struggled with the ground game, and she has been making improvements. She was able to stuff a ton of takedowns from Waterson. She was able to stuff some takedowns against Claudia Gadelha. But still, I think if Ribas does get this fight down to the mat, she will have a ton of success. Hill has been submitted 2 times. I think a submission could be on the table here. I mean, we saw Hill get, I think it was an armbar from Randa Marcos just in 2019. I'm going to take Ribas here. I think, 1 takedown is all she needs to either ride out the round, maybe find a submission, but at least ride out that round. Ribas on the mat is very legit. And like I said, I only think it does take 1 takedown. So on the feed, it's close. If Ribas wants to strike with Hill for 15 minutes, I think Hill probably wins that fight. I remember in her last fight against Rodriguez as well, she was in an interview saying that she wants to test out her striking. I don't think that's a great idea here, but I do think the striking will be semi-competitive, and I think along with mixing in those takedowns, getting some control time, I think the sub's on the table. I will take Ribas to win a decision, the younger fighter by 9 years, and I do think she bounces back here by implementing those takedowns using that ground game. But yeah, the striking exchanges could be close, but I will take Ribas to win by decision, and probably not going to bet it. Not going to bet the minus 175. If it gets a little bit lower, maybe I'll take a look, but I don't really want to bet this fight. So give me Ribas, but I'm going to be passing from a betting perspective. All right, next we have a very fun fight, a fight that I'm looking forward to. Gregor Gillespie going against Diego Ferreira. We have Gillespie, who is 34 years old, 5'7", 71-inch reach, 13-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Diego Ferreira is 36 years old, 5'9", 74-inch reach, 17-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll get into some stats a little bit, but first I want to get into the odds, and we have Gregor Gillespie open at -225, currently -175. Diego Ferreira open up +175, currently +155. So some money is coming in on Diego Ferreira, and it's just a very interesting matchup. We have Gillespie, who, his bread and butter is that wrestling, is that grappling. Ferreira, great grappler himself. Ferreira, I believe, is like a 3rd-degree black belt in BJJ. Gillespie is a blue belt, I believe, but Gillespie's grappling's, great. It's fantastic. So some stats I do want to point out. Gillespie does average a crazy 7.02 takedowns per 15 minutes, which is phenomenal. 47% takedown accuracy. One of the best wrestlers in the UFC, arguably the best wrestler in the UFC as well. The guy's legit. Ferreira, 68% takedown defense. He definitely can be taken down. He was taken down 5 times last time in his fight against Benoit SUB. And I didn't think he looked all that great in his fight against Benoit SUB. I thought, the striking didn't look great. His cardio didn't look great. The takedown defense didn't look great. And, just going through the record of Ferreira in the UFC and trying to see, does this guy, get many submissions off his back? Because I do think he'll be on his back quite a bit. And, you take a look at it. The guy has 2 submissions in the UFC, which is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. In 11 UFC fights. He does have a couple knockouts on his record. Is the chin a concern of Gillespie? He was knocked out pretty brutally by Kevin Lee, but I think it was just one of those things where he was caught by that nasty head kick. I think for Gillespie to win this fight, he's going to have to get this fight down to the mat, some top control, kind of wear out Ferreira. I think that Gillespie is going to have the much better cardio. This guy's gas tank is phenomenal. Ferreira, 36 years old. He is getting up there in age. He didn't look great in his last fight, so I do think he's kind of on a decline here. But with that said, we haven't seen Gillespie in quite a bit, 1 year, 5 months since he's fought Kevin Lee there. I'm going to take Gillespie here to get takedowns, get top control. He's not going to submit Ferreira. Just stay safe on top. I think on the feet, I don't know. It could be close, but I hope it's not on the feet for too long. I do expect Gillespie to shoot for takedowns early and often. Is Ferreira a threat off his back? Could be. 3rd-degree black belt, but like I said, Gillespie's a great grappler himself. Blue belt or not, I think he is a great grappler. So I'm going to take Gillespie to win. I'm going to say by decision. I really don't see him finishing Ferreira. Maybe a 3rd-round finish if Ferreira does gas out, which, there's a good chance of that with the pace that Gillespie does bring. But outside of Ferreira catching Gillespie on the feet, outside of him, getting a submission off his back, I think this is a really good fight, a really good stylistic fight for Gregor Gillespie. But yeah, I'm going to take him to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. And, the money line, where it's at now, I don't think that's a terrible bet. -175, I see -195, -177. I think anything better than -200, you could take a look there. But where it opened at, I'd probably pass there. It opened -225, probably a little bit too wide. But I do think Ferreira is, slowing down in his career. And Gillespie, 34 years old. I think he's still, in his prime here. And I'm going to take him to win. I guess, the only concern I have is if he does choose to strike with Ferreira for long periods of time, that's giving Ferreira a path to victory. And I just don't see him. I don't see Ferreira catching him off his back with a submission. So I'm going to take Gillespie to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. Maybe Gillespie by decision. I think it's +150 could be worth a look as well. All right, next we have the People's Main Event, the fight that everybody has been looking forward to. We have a Marcos Rogerio de Lima going against Maurice Greene. We have de Lima, who is 35 years old, 6'1", 75-inch reach, 17-7-1, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Maurice Greene is 34 years old, 6'7", 82-inch reach, so he's going to be 6 inches taller than de Lima. He's going to be 7 inches of reach, or have 7 inches of reach on him as well. And Greene is 9-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, we have de Lima, who opened up -165, currently -190. Maurice Greene opened up +135, currently +165. So, yeah, some money's coming in on the de Lima side, and I totally agree with it. I really like De Lima in this fight. Maurice Green, I just don't think he's that skilled. We'll take a look at it. Green does land 4.12 significant strikes per minute, but he does get hit quite a bit, absorbing 4.37 with only a 45% striking defense. You do not want to be hittable against someone as dangerous as De Lima. When it comes to the takedown stats, and this is a big thing for this fight, because typically against De Lima, you're going to want to get him to the mat. The guy has a terrible, terrible takedown defense of 43%. And the guy is also, being a black belt, he has been submitted 5 times as well. So what you typically want to do against De Lima is get him to the mat. But the problem with Green is the guy has 0 takedowns in the UFC, and the guy has attempted 0 takedowns in the UFC. Is he ultimately going to change that now? Is he going to turn into a wrestler? I just don't think so. And on the feet, like I said, Green's hittable. He has that tall man's defense. I don't think the chin is all that there. Green has been knocked out like 2 or 3 times. He got clipped hard by Jean Vellante in a fight that he probably should have lost, but he got that weird submission off his back. And like I said, you do not want to be hittable against De Lima. De Lima has those very hard leg kicks. He is very dangerous. But with that said, the problem with De Lima is he's very dangerous for that first round. In that first round only, maybe that first 5 minutes, I don't want to go any more than that, maybe 6 minutes, maybe. But after that first round, Green's going to have plenty of opportunities to get the win. It's just, I don't see him lasting, especially in this small cage. I think De Lima's going to have multiple chances to find the finish here, whether it's with those leg kicks, hurting those legs, or landing a bomb on Maurice Green as well. So I'm going to take De Lima to win by first round knockout. I think the under could be a very good look. I think that De Lima in the first round could be a very good look. It's hard to see De Lima winning outside of the first round unless he's made like drastic changes in his cardio, and I just don't see that happening. So give me De Lima, first round knockout. I think he knocks out Maurice Green in a dominant fashion. Just not the biggest guy, not just the biggest on Maurice Green in general. I don't think he's all that great. You take a look at Maurice Green and kind of what he did, what he's done through his career. I remember he beat Junior Albini in a fight that he was like an underdog in that fight. Beat Jeff Hughes in a split decision in a fight where Jeff Hughes is like, I think it was like minus 200, minus 250. Lost to Sergey Pavlovich by first round knockout. Got submitted by Alexei Oleinik. Got knocked up by Greg Hardy, and then that weird fight with Jean Vellante where Vellante knocked him down, and then he got that submission. So I don't like the chin of Green. I don't like the striking defense of Green. Green even has a 28% takedown defense himself, so if De Lima really wanted to, maybe he takes down Green, ground and pound. But I do like Marcos Rogerio De Lima to win this fight, and honestly, the minus 200, I honestly don't hate it. It's just hard to bet on somebody who only has 1 round of cardio. I just think 1 round is really all he needs here. So give me De Lima to win by first round knockout. All right, yeah, this fight should probably be the main event. We have Geoff Neal versus Neil Magny, a fight that I'm really looking forward to. Geoff Neal, 30 years old, 5'11", 75-inch reach, 13-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Neil Magny, 33 years old, 6'3", 80-inch reach. So Magny is going to have 4 inches of height on Neal, and he's going to have 5 inches of reach as well. And Magny's 24-8 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And Neal opened up a minus 225, currently minus 290, which is, it shouldn't be minus 225 here. Magny opened up plus 175, currently plus 165. So some money is coming in on Magny here. And yeah, kind of an interesting fight. Some stats I do want to point out. Neal's very high output does land 4.94 significant strikes per minute with a 49% accuracy. He does absorb 4.93, but a ton of that is from his last fight against Wonderboy Stephen Thompson, where Wonderboy outlanded him by a ton in that fight, and he just looked a little off. He wasn't able to really find the range. Wonderboy was able to stay on the outside and clearly win, all 5 rounds in that fight. Magny, a little bit less output, 3.67 significant strikes landed per minute, 47% accuracy, does absorb only 2.05, which is very good. Does have a significant strike differential of 1.62, which is very good. 56% strike and defense. When it comes to the takedown stats, the grappling stats, Magny does land about 2.5 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 45% takedown accuracy, but Neal has a 92% takedown defense And Neal's takedown defense is very, very good. It's really hard to take him down. If you do get him down, it's really hard to hold him down as well. I think he's able to stuff like 8 or 9 takedowns from Belal Muhammad. So I don't know if Magny's going to be able to get him down. I think Magny's game plan is going to have to be, stay on the outside, pick apart, Neal from the outside, avoid that hard shot. It's just, Neal's going to be landing some hard shots in this fight. Magny, his chin's okay. He has been knocked out 2 or 3 times in 32 fights, but he's been dropped a lot. You take a look at his career, he's been dropped a ton of times throughout the UFC, and they call Jeff Neal hands of steel for a reason. Like, this guy hits like an absolute truck. So I think a knockout is a very good possibility, maybe even a knock down or knockout. Yeah, I think it's a very good possibility in this fight. I'm going to take Jeff Neal to win. I'm going to take him to win by, I'll say knockout. I'll say knockout here, but not a fight I'm really interested in from a betting perspective. Kind of just want to sit back and watch this one. I think it's going to be a very good fight, but I'm going to take Jeff Neal to bounce back. I think a lot of people are kind of writing him off in his last fight because he got dominated by Stephen Thompson, but this is a completely different matchup. But with that said, he's still minus 190, which I don't quite love. I think if it was like minus 150, then I'd probably be taking a shot, but I think it could be semi-close. I just think that Neal's going to be landing the harder shots, the more convincing shots, and I do think if anybody gets a finish, it's going to be Jeff Neal, and I do think he does find that shot eventually. So give me Jeff Neal. I'm going to say 3rd round knockout for Neal, but probably a fight I'm not going to be betting on. All right, now we have Donald Cerrone versus Alex Moreno. This was supposed to be Donald Cerrone going against Diego Sanchez, which I really did want to see that fight. But Cerrone was like minus 700 in that fight, which I did agree with quite a bit. But going against Alex Moreno here, so Donald Cerrone is 38 years old, 6'1", 73-inch reach, going to have about 2 inches of height on him. Going to have 1 inch of reach on Moreno as well. He is 36-15, which is I think 51 fights. So 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Alex Moreno, 30 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach, 18-7, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, the line on this is open up minus 155, currently minus 185. So lots of money coming in on Cerrone. Moreno opened up plus 125, currently plus 160. So, yeah, I remember seeing Cerrone at like minus 130. Did not pull the trigger, and this is just not a fight I really want to bet on. Cerrone is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He has not won in quite some time. I think the last win, I want to say, was Al Quinta in 2019, May 4th. But yeah, you take a look at his losses. Tony Ferguson, no shame in that. It was that the TKO stoppage with his eye where he blew his nose. Justin Gaethje starched him in the first round. Conor McGregor starched him in 40 seconds. Anthony Pettis, I did think that Cerrone did win that fight. The strikes were close. Pettis outlanded Cerrone by 1 significant strike, but Cerrone did mix in 2 takedowns. I did think Cerrone won that fight. And then Nico Price, Cerrone draw, which got overturned. I think Price popped for marijuana or something like that. But yeah, that fight I did score for Price actually. But yeah, we haven't seen Cerrone win it in a long time. It's just he is fighting pretty good competition. And then you see Alex Moreno, who, he's losing to Anthony Pettis. He got knocked out in 27 seconds against Chaos Williams. He's going to a close fight with Max Griffin. He lost to Jordan Maine. He lost to some pretty questionable competition. Got knocked out by Nico Price. So I just think the level of competition there's a significant margin in it. But with that said, Cerrone, 30 years old, way past his prime, obviously. I don't think he's the same cowboy. It's just I do still think he has what it takes to beat Moreno. I think he's better anywhere the fight goes on the feet. You got to favor Cerrone. On the mat, which I don't think is going to touch the mat, you still got to favor Cerrone. We'll take a look at some of the stats. Moreno, very high output, 4.96 significant strikes per minute. Only a 42% accuracy, does absorb 3.69. Cerrone, 4.43 significant strikes landed per minute. Good output himself, does absorb 4.46. 61% striking defense. And when it comes to the grappling stats, I just don't see many takedowns happening in this fight, but if anything, maybe Cerrone can mix in some takedowns. Moreno does have a 47% takedown defense, which is pretty terrible. So yeah, I think mixing of those takedowns could be a very good path to victory for Cerrone, who does average about a takedown per 15 minutes. Moreno, I think, has maybe like a couple takedowns in the UFC, I think like 2 or 3. But I remember for the longest time, Moreno did not have any takedowns, but he finally averaged about 0.4 28% accuracy, but he does have that, like I said, 47% takedown defense, which I do think Cerrone can expose here. I'm going to take Cerrone. Yeah, definitely not betting it, especially where the line's at now. I'm going to take him to win by decision. I feel like it could be close just with the amount of volume that Moreno does put on. Maybe Cowboy is slowing down. Well, I do think he's slowing down. Moreno, it is in his prime, but I just think there's levels to it, and I do think that Cerrone's been fighting the better level of competition by a really significant margin. So give me Cerrone to win by decision. But the minus 190, I just would not bet that. But I'll take Cerrone to get it done. All right, main event time. Before we get started, if you guys can, of course, like the video if you have not done so already. Also subscribe, and going to be going live 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time Friday. As always, we're not able to go live last week due to Las Vegas, and then going live 1 hour prior to the fight. So lots going on this week. But yeah, let's get into it. So main event here, we have Rodriguez versus Waterson. Rodriguez, 34 years old, 5'6", 65-inch reach. He's going to have 3 inches of height, 3 inches of reach. She is 13-1-2, 3-1-1 in her last 5 fights. Michelle Waterson, she is 35 years old, 5'3", 62-inch reach, 18-8, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. So the big thing with this fight is it's going to be at flyweight. It's going to be at 125. Waterson is going to be, I think very small, very undersized in this fight. Somebody that usually fights at 115, obviously. And somebody that's not the biggest for 115 in general. So I think right off the bat, like that is a significant advantage for Moreno Rodriguez. Also, this fight's going to be 5 rounds. I think that's a advantage for Moreno Rodriguez. She's going to have more opportunities to really hurt Waterson, really put on the damage. And when she lands, she puts on a ton of damage. We'll talk about that more, but we'll take a look at the odds here. Rodriguez opened up minus 195, currently minus 200. Waterson plus 160, currently plus 170. But yeah, Moreno Rodriguez, it's just very frustrating. Like, she has a ton of skill on the feet. Like, she is a very good striker. I think she's going to have a massive advantage on the feet. I think she's the better striker overall. I think she's more dangerous by a significant margin. I do think when she lands, she hurts her opponent. She cuts them open. But she has one big gap in her game, and that is that takedown defense. Rodriguez does have a 59% takedown defense, and kind of take a look, through the career of Moreno Rodriguez, and there are just a ton of red flags, and you got to think that, she is making improvements, and that's what I kind of thought going into the Carla Esparza fight. But against Randa Marcos, she had a draw with Randa Marcos. Marcos was able to take her down 2 times, and I just don't really like what I see off the back of Rodriguez. She's kind of content on staying on her back, playing jiu-jitsu, trying to, land some elbows from the bottom when, she should be probably working up, trying to get to the feet. It's just not something she does. She tries to look for reversals. You don't see her really back up to the cage trying to work her way up. You don't see that. You just see her content being on her back, and that's really something you don't want to see. Against Cynthia Calvillo, another draw where Calvillo took her down 3 times, and then against Carla Esparza, she took her down 5 times, and the same thing, like, she was content being off her back, and she almost won that fight being off her back as well. She landed a ton of strikes from her back. She outlanded Esparza as well, 40-33. She landed some nice elbows. I believe she cut open Esparza very early in that fight as well. So she is dangerous off her back. It's just she probably should be working her way up. And then the next fight against Amanda Ribas, Ribas took down Rodriguez, controlled her for the first round. That second round comes, and Rodriguez knocks her out. When it comes to Waterson, she is getting up there in age, like 35 years old. Fighting at 125, I really don't like that for her. She was like 1 for 18 in takedowns against Angela Hill, somebody that typically did struggle with a takedown. I don't know. She has 1, 2, 3, 4 takedowns in 5 fights. Like, if for her to win this fight, she's going to need to get takedowns, and she's never had more than 3 takedowns in a fight. I do think that at some point, Waterson does get down Rodriguez. It's just, like I said, from the bottom, Rodriguez is very, very active. She's going to be landing a ton from her back. She's going to be landing damaging shots from her back. And then when it's on the feet, she's going to absolutely light up Waterson, probably hurt her a couple times, probably cut her open. Like, her striking's legit. It's just that ground game is kind of what's making me stay away from the minus 200. But, yeah, I'm going to take Rodriguez. I'm going to take her to win. If this was at 115, If this was a 3-round fight, I'd probably be looking the other way, but I think both of those factors do go in the favor of Marina Rodriguez. Maybe find a finish, but I think she's going to win a decision just by, landing more, doing the more damaging shots. Yes, Waterson probably gets her down 1 or 2 times. But I think at flyweight here, I think Waterson's really going to struggle to get down Marina Rodriguez. And like I said, you have to think that Rodriguez is working on that ground game. I mean, that's a huge problem in her game is that ground game. You got to think work on your takedown defense, and you'll be very, very good. And she still is. It's just she needs to work on the takedown defense. So hopefully she's made some adjustments. Waterson, she needs to get takedowns to win this fight. I just don't see her landing more than 2-3 takedowns in this fight. So I'm going to take Rodriguez to win. I'm going to take her to win by decision. -200. I don't know. I want to see weigh-ins first. I want to see the size difference between the two. But I don't know. I wouldn't parlay it, maybe. But I do like her to win. I don't even know what prop I'd look at. I think she can win by decision, maybe a knockout as well. I don't know, maybe a potential play on Rodriguez. I got to think about it more. It's just the ground game really does scare me. But then again, I just don't see Waterson landing more than 2 or 3 takedowns. Waterson averaging about a takedown and a half for 15 minutes, 34% accuracy. But I will take Rodriguez. I'll take her pretty comfortably here in this fight, but there are some red flags. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry about this video coming out about a day early. Like I said, running a little bit behind, coming back from Vegas. In the current process of moving into my new house. So lots going on this week. But once I get this move out of the way, should be able to get my content out earlier, should be able to go live more, extra content coming your way as well. Lots of big plans coming up. I do have 4 or 5 bets already if you want to check them out. You can sign up on the Patreon. The link will be in the description below. Tons of members on there. You get access to Discord, like I said, betting article, early access to bets, betting breakdown videos, just tons of extra content. But yeah, with that said, tune into the live stream 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Tune into the live stream on Saturday, 1 hour prior to when the fights start. I'm not sure when they start, but going 1 hour before, talking bets, talking strategy, talking, anything you want. So come hang out. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and good luck for UFC Vegas 26.